You held me there where I was found, lying there upon the ground. But who you found, it wasn't me. Your heart it pounds, your love for me. This was a war, but I'm the only casualty. Death at my door, and I open it casually. I don't want to hurt you, so don't you come after me. What's there inside me now, it isn't what you found in me. So please, please leave before I go. Hello and welcome. That poem you just heard was a poem of mine called Where I Wasn't Found from my poetry book called Maybe Someday, which, if you've been around here, you know is a collection of poetry that I started writing when I was 17 and really in a tough place in my life, struggling with a lot of stuff. And I began writing to help me cope and work through all these things that I was dealing with. It has been several years since then, and through writing, I have come a long way from where I was back then. So in this series, I'm going back and visiting all those old poems to reflect on where I was and retrace my steps along that journey to who I am now. Every poem I've written is a piece of who I am and has helped me arrange the brokenness of who I was back then. This poem was written sort of reflecting on my attempt that I have talked about previously in some of the other poems in this book. So it can be quite a heavy one, really diving into that headspace I was in and reliving some of those moments and feelings that held me there in that place for so long. So in that first section, it's kind of looking back on afterwards when my family and closest people to me were worried about me, trying to reassure me and hold me there as I'm crying and completely breaking down with all the feelings and everything I was dealing with, trying to come to my side. And the fact that they're so worried and so impacted by the way I'm feeling, it's like a true reflection of how much they truly care for me. And it just hurt to know that I was causing them this worry and bringing them down in this way. But as I say in there, who you found, it wasn't me. I felt like I was so disconnected from myself and who I was and who I wanted to be that I didn't even feel like myself anymore. I felt completely fake and isolated. So here they were coming to me, comforting me, loving me, but it didn't feel like that was really me. I was so lost that I wasn't even there anymore. And here they were, comforting this hollow shell of who I once was. So then in that next part where I describe how this was a war, but I'm the only casualty. Of course, the battle of internal struggles and mental health and all that stuff is a war with yourself. It's not something others can always see, and you are the one on both sides of the fight. So no matter how it ends, you are the only casualty. And then since I was so lost and hopeless at this time, as I say there, with death at my door, I opened it casually. And I felt like I was such a burden to the people around me, just ruining their lives with the way I was living and the way I was feeling. And I just felt like a burden to everyone around me, like I was ruining their lives by the way I was living and with all the ways that what I was going through was affecting them. But I didn't want to hurt anyone, so I just, as I say there, don't you come after me. I wanted them to stay away, and as I try to make my escape, I don't want them to try to stop me. I wanted them to just let me go and forget about me and not have to worry about me anymore. Then when I say, what's there inside me now, it isn't what you found in me. Like, who I was when you first got to know me and who I used to be and the version of me that made you love me and care about me. That's not who I am anymore, and I felt like I was someone no longer worth being loved and cared about. So I was trying to convince them that that's not who I am anymore, and there's no point in still trying to care about me and reassure me and bring me back from where I'm going. So then in the end, I'm just begging them to leave me before I go. I don't want my battles to continue hurting them in any way. So I wanted them to just leave me and forget about me so I can just move on without worrying about hurting them in any way. So I know, of course, that there's a lot of heavy, difficult, dark stuff, but it's honestly where I was there at the time. And of course, as I said, writing this, getting it out onto the page and being able to see that in front of me helped me to really see things more clearly for how they were and begin to work through them and heal and get to a better place. And of course, I can now see that a lot of those ways I felt and the things I believed then were completely wrong. Those people truly did care about me, and it wasn't right for me to push them away when they were trying to help me. And I can now see that because of the inner conflict I was dealing with, I blinded myself to so much and created this false negative illusion of everything that held me back and made me push others away. And as I'm talking about this, it's reminding me of a song that came out recently that I feel like really connects to this. It's a song called "I Love Being Wrong" by Tessa. I just recently discovered her, and her music lately has been some really great healing type of music. And in the song, she references back to a song she wrote a long time ago when she was in a much darker, negative place, like I was when I wrote this poem. That was called "Make Me a Robot," where she was convinced that she didn't want to live anymore or be herself anymore, and that she wasn't someone worthy of love and being cared about and all this stuff. And then in this new song, she looks back on that and is like, man, I love being wrong, because she back then knew for a fact that she didn't deserve these things and could never get out of this place. And now here she is in a much better place, realizing how wrong she was back then, that things can't get better and that there is no hope. And I feel like I've kind of had a very similar experience where back several years ago, I was convinced and completely sure that I was at this super low point and it was only downhill from here on out. And now I, of course, am not in a perfect place, still have plenty of progress to make and a way to go in a lot of stuff, but am in a much better place and have so much more hope and happiness than I could have ever imagined having back then, and have people around that I care about and who care about me. And it's just shown me, just like it showed Tessa, that being wrong can really be a beautiful thing, and that no matter how hopeless something may seem, that doesn't mean that it truly is hopeless. There's always hope there. And with a little courage to face those things and accept that you may be wrong and take those steps you need to take to get to that place, you really can overcome any of those challenges. So even though it can be really painful to look back on these times and these old poems I wrote, I really do think it is valuable to help me see all this and to talk through it, and hopefully it can mean something to you. And if you've struggled with anything or are in a place like that right now, I hope this can be encouraging in some way for you to see, and that maybe someday you'll be able to see that you were wrong about those things you convinced yourself of, and that you can get to a much more hopeful and happy place someday. So anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if anything I said meant anything to you, or you have any further thoughts on my poem or anything I talked about, or you have your own stories that you'd like to share, you are always welcome to talk about any of that down in the comments, and I'll look forward to hearing what you say and responding back to you about any of it. But that's all I've got for this video. Of course, really hoped you enjoyed, and as always, remember, let your heart be open, even if no one receives it. Say what you mean, even if no one believes it. Live your life like you don't need a reason, because we're all broken, and we're just arranging the pieces. Thank you.